I want people to know you the way I do.
Sean, when my fiancé was murdered, I didn't even want to say words. I felt like going out in the dark, in the woods, and just howling like an animal. I didn't have words to say. It was so awful. When people have been talking about, did Nancy Guthrie just go off on her own, and die in a ditch? I mean, day one, I'm like, that did not happen. The hounds of hell will chase those kidnappers until they are caught.
Here's what got me in, quote, hot water, as if I give a shit. I don't.
When have you ever been out of hot water?
You are tough. We are hanging out with the one and the only Nancy Grace, the smartest criminal detective, victims advocate in the entire country. What an honor. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate you being here. I learned a lot about you when we were covering the Nancy Guthrie issue. And one thing that people don't understand is how invested, if you're covering a story, you get so invested in that story. You live, eat, breathe, sleep it. And I know because we'd be texting at 3 in the morning about little details that we are finding about the case with the hopes that we have a great outcome and that there would be a reunion with Savannah and her mother. And I made a mistake one night. One night I came on, there was news, it was disappointing to me. I felt a little deflated and I felt like, it's a dead end. And I asked you, I was stupid enough to ask you if you felt the same thing. And in the nicest way, but tough, you ripped my head off.
I thought it was the other end.
No, you said to me, did you think this was going to be easy? What part of this was not going to be hard, Sean? And I'm like, check. But I thought about it after, and I was glad you did it because you're right. But I know a lot of other people watching felt the same way. Tell me where that comes from.
I really don't know exactly where to start because I grew up in such an idyllic world. There's no nice way to put it, poor. I grew up on a red dirt road with a well in the backyard.
Don't you love that song, Red Dirt Road?
Yes.
And done?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
With a well in the backyard that my grandfather dug. And once in a while, the water would be a little red, but we drank it anyway. We didn't know.
Wow.
But it was also a place, Sean, where we could ride our bikes and go play on our own and not come home until we literally heard hymns like God Will Take Care of You, His Eyes on the Sparrow, Rock of Ages, and the church, our Methodist church spire. And we go, 6 o'clock, we got to go home. And my mom would be flying home from work in a car, racing in. My dad, who worked on the railroad, and we would be together. Unless he was working a swing shift, we would be together almost every night. And I didn't know anything about violence at all. And we could see the news at night, it'd be playing, and it seemed so far away, like it had nothing to do with us. So I went away to school and fell in love and got engaged. I remember the first time I saw Keith. It was across campus.
Keith is who you were engaged to?
I was engaged to.
You were 19.
Mm-hmm. And I saw him and I stopped. I literally stopped and I thought, oh no, he's much too handsome. He'd never date anybody like me. Very quickly, I broke him and his girlfriend up, and we got engaged.
Wait a minute. You broke them up.
Yes.
You set out to break them up.
Well, I didn't know she even existed, but, you know.
But, of course, you're Nancy Grace. I want to get to this whole story because this really gets to the foundation of where your passion comes from. And it's why I respect you so much, why we become friends, why I know it's real. When you're on a show and you're so passionate, you said something that I want to delve into a little more. You said, we grew up, red dirt road, we were poor, but we didn't know we were poor, right?
No, we didn't know.
Okay, we didn't have a lot. My parents worked their ass off, and, they didn't have anything. They really did. My mom worked 16-hour shifts in the prison and a valedictorian of her high school class and didn't have any money for college. She was not happy, but she worked those extra hours.
You reminded me of my mom.
Yeah.
When she was in first grade, someone, and we still don't know who, heard her playing piano and paid for her private piano lessons.
Wow.
All the way through school. She studied at Wesleyan University, all-girl college, first in the world in Macon, but she didn't have enough money to go to college. She played cello in the symphony.
Wow.
She worked as a bank teller, and she was our church organist and pianist for, 50 years. Never paid. But she didn't have money to go to college. So she, became a bookkeeper.
Who's this angel that did that for your mom?
I don't know, but I have a strong suspicion it was her first grade teacher.
Really?
Miss Willis.
You never found out for sure?
Mother never knew.
But she saw talent in your mom. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful story. But you said something that really struck me. When I was young growing up, even in Long Island, I'd get off the school bus, 3 o'clock, get home, throw my books in the house, boom, gone.
Out.
My parents had no clue where I was, ever.
Mine were both at work. They had no idea where we were.
None. And in my case, I got in a lot more trouble, I guarantee, than you did.
I never got in trouble.
Okay, now, how did I become a helicopter parent? My daughter is here. She'll never come on camera. How did I become a helicopter parent? They were never out of my sight, ever. I knew where they were at all times.
Constant. I know where mine are right now because I checked Life 360 right before I sat down.
Right here. I got it right on my phone. Yeah.
You got a helicopter, Dad? I call myself a straitjacket mom. Forget the
What do you call
helicopter.
yourself?
Straitjacket. Because I try not to let them know. I'll never forget when my daughter said, "Am I ever going to get to go on a walk through the neighborhood?" I said, "Sure, I'll go." She goes, "Alone?" I'm like, "Sure, go." I call David on the phone, my long-suffering husband. I go, "Code word 911. She's going for a walk." So I go one way surveilling. He goes the other way.
Oh, my God.
I'm not going to let Lucy Lynch get kidnapped. No, that is not happening. And after that, after she realized she could go on a walk, not alone, then she, backed off.
Isn't it sad if you go to the 40s and 50s? What were the top problems in American schools? Talking in class, chewing gum, running in the halls.
Yes.
What is it now? Drug use, suicide.
Assault in the bathroom.
What happened?
I don't know what happened, but I'm doing everything in my power to keep it away from my twins and any other child that I can affect their life.
Before I get to your story, when you first told it to me, I was tearing up because it was emotional to hear it, and it really goes to the heart. We read these stories, we cover these stories, and you don't sometimes understand the impact. That person that you're reporting on's life has now been turned upside down, inside out. They will never be the same again.
Never.
And you lived it. And that then became your vocation in life, in my view, which we'll get to. But we spent a lot of time talking about Nancy Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie is the co-host of the Today Show. You know her. And I would watch you. You came on every night. You were a real champ. And you'd come on, and I would listen to you every night. Every night you gave me hope. You at times would chastise me if I was losing hope, which I appreciated. And you were thinking of things because you've done this your whole life that nobody else thinks of. Okay, recently Savannah does the interview with Hoda. Wow. That was brutal. That's not political for me. I don't care if you're a liberal or conservative. I don't want that for anybody in our country. And it happens every day.
Every day. Every day. Something she said, my 94-year-old mother lives with us.
Yeah.
And when people have been talking about, did Nancy Guthrie just go off on her own, and die in a ditch? I mean, day one, I'm like, that did not happen. She would have been found quickly by scent dogs, by a neighbor, by someone. But when Savannah was talking, first of all, I was listening and I found myself crunching up, and I had to straighten back up and loosen up because I would get so upset watching her and seeing the pain on her face, and it just reminded me so much of, this is such a euphemism, that dark place. I mean, Sean, when my fiancé was murdered, I didn't even want to say words. I felt like going out in the dark, in the woods, and just howling like an animal. I didn't have words to say. It was so awful. Not just losing him, but to violent crime. Stupid, senseless. For what? For nothing. I just couldn't take it in, especially the dichotomy of having grown up the way I did in a very loving home. And then that, just before our wedding, it was just too much. And when Savannah was talking, just her face, and she started talking to her mother when she felt like it was her fault. She said, "Oh, mommy, I'm sorry. It took me right back to that moment, those horrible moments when I was lying there in the dark, feeling like howling, because there just were no words, nothing." And when she
was blaming herself.
Yes, and when she said her mom had so much back pain and she could hardly walk, I thought of my mother. I could. It would be hard, but I could pick my mother up, I think. When I try to transfer her from a chair to a walker or something, it's hard, but I can do it. I was just thinking about Miss Guthrie. Poor little Miss Guthrie could hardly walk to the mailbox. On a good day, she could walk to the mailbox, and some a-hole got her out of her bed in her little PJs barefoot and took her out of that house. That, she said, my little bitty mother, which to me means she was bent over and frail.
84.
I want them to get the death penalty. That is what I want. When they asked me about Keith's killer, do you want the death penalty? In my ignorance, I said no. But for what they have done to Miss Guthrie, there's no other choice. I'm still holding out a thin hope that somewhere, somehow, she could be alive. But by God, if she's not, the hounds of hell will chase those kidnappers until they are caught.
It was heartbreaking watching that interview.
Brutal.
It was brutal. And I'm going to get into the larger issue of this whole idiotic mindset. And I got in trouble when I did this when you were on one of my TV shows.
Wait, which idiotic mindset?
Of defund, dismantle, no bail, reimagine, open borders. This is no vetting. It's insane. So, but I want to go back to this, and I know I'm risking my head being bitten off by you, and I'm willing to risk it. Is this now considered officially a cold case?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you in the cold case?
Explain why not. Because
let me get my notes.
Okay, Nancy's got her notes.
I slammed that down. By the way,
I knew when I asked that question, I was dead. But
at the very end of Hoda's interview with Savannah, she asked Savannah, and I quote, about how Savannah feels about how the investigation was conducted. And Savannah says, it's still ongoing. And when she said that, I mean, that's what she said. And it means my mother could still be alive. Mm-hmm. We're still investigating. What do you mean? How was it conducted? It's still ongoing.
Okay, fair enough. All these cases are ongoing. You know, I always liked the Innocent Project because the idea that new science and technology, you know, you can go back to old cases and pull up the DNA and actually go back and test people and find people that had gotten away with the most violent, horrible, vicious crimes. So I guess there's no such thing as a cold case, although it's a term that is used, frequently used. when I heard her describe this for her as agony, and the part that I didn't like and her brother, God bless him, is not wrong in his observation.
Right.
Her brother said to her,
Cameron, I think Cameron is his name,
that probably it's connected to the fact that you are a public figure. Yeah, get comfortable. You are a public figure. People assume, probably rightly so, that you have money and that this was a kidnap ransom case. I've always believed it was. And that seemed to crush her in that interview. And that's not her fault. You know, are we supposed to stop living our lives because there's evil in this world? Because there is evil.
I made a note, several notes, when she was recounting how she asked the brother Cameron. He did not say, hey, it's your fault. That's not the way it went down. She said, do you believe that somehow somebody thought, this girl has money? And he said, probably. I think that could have happened. And so she got it out of him. It's not like he hit her in the head with it. He seems very matter-of-fact and down-to-earth. And I believe she said he was a fighter pilot. He was in military intelligence.
His observation was obvious.
And when you're trained that way, you may go into that with a different personality, like going into law school. I think differently now. Everything is about probative value. If I can't use it to prove anything, then in my world, to hell with it, it doesn't exist. He seems very black and white in that way to me. And he said, yeah, I think that's what happened. And I do too. Because Nancy Guthrie, I mean, if you look at an aerial of her neighborhood, the houses are very few and far between. And it's dark out there at night. So somebody just happens to drive by and go, yeah, that house, that one. That did not happen. They knew who they were kidnapping.
Targeted.
Yes. And we also learned that the back door was propped open. And this also struck a chord. And on air, I usually don't like to project what I think about it, or how it relates to me. But I remember when I learned Keith was dead, I just assumed, well, really, I didn't care why, because it didn't matter, because he was dead. But I assumed he had a car wreck. And I remember I was on my way to work at the library at school when I found out. His sister, Judy, told me. And I got in my car, and I didn't have anywhere to go. And I was driving home, even though I knew nobody was there. And I saw our church, our little Methodist church. I saw cars there, so I went there. And our pastor, I said, Keith is dead. And he didn't believe it, and I didn't believe it. And I saw him write upside down on the other side of the desk, Bernstein Funeral Home. And then I knew. And he hung up. I said, was he in a wreck? And Billy said, he was murdered. He was shot. And I say that because, I'm pointing at my notes, I say that because Savannah said that the back door had been propped open, so obviously she was kidnapped and somebody came in the back door. But in her mind, she was rational. She got, well, did she have a medical episode and 911 was called and they took her out in a stretcher? And so she's spinning out this whole theory that her mother is still alive and she's going to find her in the hospital. And the sister said, we've been calling the hospital. And Savannah's like, well, then I said, I'm going to call the hospital, as if I don't believe it. And she starts calling the hospital from New York. And then it starts sinking in. She's not in the hospital. She didn't have a medical emergency. Somebody took her. And her mind is trying to come up with these scenarios where everything's going to be okay. And I'm never going to tell her, but it's never going to be okay again. For the rest of her life, the way she raises her children, the way they raise their children, the way she sees the world, it's over. It's a whole new thing now.
One thing in this case, and we had conversations, I had really top sources in the FBI, and I shared this with you early on privately, and I was asked not to bring it up on air. They specifically said, it's not helpful if you go public with this. But that sheriff out there, it's called bigfooting, whatever you want to call it. The idea that the FBI, the feds will come in, and local law enforcement feels like, oh, this is our territory, we don't need your help. Meanwhile, the people that are best equipped to solve cases like this would be the FBI. And when they finally did get in and they had to push their way through, and we were discussing this privately, it was frustrating to me. Why wouldn't you want all the help you can get? They're offering it to everybody for free. President Trump even tweeted out, all federal resources will be made available to help find Nancy Guthrie.
All you have to do is ask.
Ask. They didn't want to ask.
Nanos did not want to ask.
And then when the FBI finally got in, oh, we were able to track down the videotape. Oh, that was a big moment. Huge. All right. Other videos came out. But it was frustrating because they had to keep going back to Nancy Guthrie's house. I'm not sure. Usually if you go through a crime scene, you cordon that area off. You can't have it tainted because by the time you get to trial.
You're hurting me when I think about what was done to the crime scene. Because when I would have a crime scene, nobody could come in except me and the homicide investigator.
This is when you were a prosecutor.
Yes. Nobody. And all HELL would be raised if somebody had already been on the scene. It causes so many problems. It destroys evidence.
Yeah.
For instance, here's one that it's over. We're not going to get this because the scene was destroyed. It's electrostatic imaging, which is you use an electronic device and it pulls up through magnet. You can get footprints that you can't see out of dust. You can't see it, but once people walk through it, even with footies, over. Did it exist? Maybe not, but maybe. That's over because they ruined it. Having pizza delivery, all that on the front porch,
Remember
people
that?
going up there taking pictures
Papa
of
John's.
her mother's blood. I mean, destroyed.
And this was the problem. They had to keep coming back again and again. And it's like at some point, even if they get evidence, it's not going to be, the odds of it being admissible would be what? 0. Because the crime scene's tainted.
Now, some might come in, but it would be subjected to such intense cross-examination about the way it's tainted and destroyed by law enforcement unwittingly that it would amount to nothing probatively.
I am one of the most supportive people of law enforcement that's on the air, and I don't apologize for it. I respect them. They put their lives on the line for us every freaking day, right? And look at what ICE has been able to do. Doesn't mean that every officer, law enforcement officer, is perfect, but they're arresting the worst of the worst of the worst. And I admire what they do, and they keep us safe. I always say it's a prerequisite for the pursuit of happiness to have law and order and safety and security, right? Okay, this is what frustrates me. And I don't like to be critical of officers, but I don't like how it was handled out here. I didn't like that I had FBI sources telling me that they don't want us there when they're the best people to be involved in this case. I didn't like when the sheriff showed up at a basketball game. I don't like that he's doing a reality show.
He left out the gym. He's having 90-minute gym sessions while we're trying to find Nancy Guthrie. And I agree with you. I don't like attacking the actual men and women that are doing the work.
Right.
The fish stinks at the head, Sean. It's Nanos. He stinks. He's got to go. But that's a distraction to finding Nancy Guthrie. That's what I'm focused on. The politics, to hell with the politics. They want to get rid of them, get rid of them. They don't find they're stuck with them. That's their business. I really am focused on finding Nancy Guthrie and finding information to lead to her whereabouts. And by destroying the crime scene and releasing the crime scene too early, they destroyed a lot of evidence. And that having gone through trying case after case after case, so many, I can't count them, how many felonies I tried. and had to deal with evidence destroyed and had to make up for it and explain it away. You can lose a case like that. And in this case, you can lose hope of finding Nancy Guthrie. To hey with the case one day. I want to find her. So those, people call them missteps. That is certainly putting perfume on the pig, isn't it? That's a euphemism, missteps. They're screw-ups. Feds wouldn't have done that.
All right, if it feels like everybody's sick right now, guess what? You are not imagining it. Now, doctors say this is the worst cold and flu season in 25 years, and it's not even over. Now, I just went out to dinner with friends, and it was like everyone coughing, sneezing, sick, or they'd just been sick. They're just getting over being sick. I can't afford to get sick. I doubt you can either. Now, you see this here? This is why I ordered the emergency medical kit, and many of my colleagues have it too. You've seen Dr. Drew, Dr. McCullough. They have this kit on their show. It's called the Wellness Company Medical Emergency Kit. Every home should have one. Having a medical emergency kit, that's like having an urgent care pharmacy right in your home. Look at this. Look at that. It includes essential prescriptions, generic Z-Pak to help you get well faster, plus very important antibiotics. And for example, for pneumonia, strep throat, sinus infection, nausea, UTIs, many more common and serious illnesses. Now, it's all in the kit. The moment you need it, no waiting for your doctor, no hoping your pharmacy is open, no hours at urgent care. That's the worst thing to do in life. No lines at the pharmacy, no copays. Just match your symptoms to the right prescription in your guidebook, or just call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Now start on your meds and feel better faster. It's genius. Every home needs at least one medical emergency kit. Order yours now online. They'll ship it to your house. Now, I can save you $45 when you use the promo code Hannity. Go to urgentcarekit.com. One word, urgentcarekit.com. Again, save $45, promo code Hannity, urgentcarekit.com, and you will be healthier and prepared. Because we're friends, this is a hard, I want people to know you the way I do. Otherwise, the worst thing, worst part of this job is for me to ask questions that I know will bring up pain for other people. Well, what's the purpose of that? I don't know, unless it's a liberal asshole that I don't like, then I enjoy it. But that's separate and apart. This isn't a political show. This brings us to how you became the Nancy Grace that everybody in this country knows today. You were talking a little bit about it earlier. You are 19 years old. You met the love of your life. You are close to getting married. You are engaged. Your life blew up. Walk us through all of it.
Well, Keith had been at our home in rural Bibb County. I often say Macon, but we were far outside of Macon city limits and nothing but pine trees and soybean fields. And he had been there that weekend and left early to get back to work. He was this close to finishing his degree in geology and already had a job lined up with an oil company, I think, in Colorado.
He was 23.
Mm-hmm.
You're 19. You guys are kids.
I was on the cusp of turning 20, and we had everything planned out to elope.
You were going to elope?
Yes. My parents would have had a fit if I had gotten married at 20.
Wow.
And
you didn't tell them.
No. That's the elope part of it, okay?
Well, I get that, but I mean, I'm actually shocked at this.
I've never told anybody. We were eloping.
I mean, it's romantic and it's cool. If my daughter does it, you're dead. I'm just warning you.
See, I knew that my parents would say that.
Well, I mean
anyway,
it. In my case, I mean it. But
and he had been on a baseball scholarship at where I first went to school. I first went to Valdosta State.
Yeah.
And first generation college. The kid, my friend boy that I drove to school with every morning on the farm next to us, I said, "Are you going to go to college?" And he goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, where are you going?" He said Valdosta State. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go there too then, I guess. I filled out my application with a pencil and sent it in and got in. So when Keith transferred to UGA, there was some class he needed. He couldn't get at Valdosta, so he's going to finish at home. He was from Athens. And when he transferred there, I transferred and went to Mercer University. That's where I got my law degree, and then I got another law degree, an LLM in constitutional and criminal law at NYU. But he left that morning. He was in Macon visiting to go back to a construction job. He was working a construction job over the summer in the middle of nowhere. So I remember waving, and I remember it's bad luck if you watch them till they're out of sight. And so I would always close my eyes just as he turned to.
Well, take your eyes to what?
Well, I grew up, we were always told, if you watch somebody till they're out of sight, you won't see them again. It's bad luck.
Well, that's suspicious.
And so I would always go, yeah, of course. And right before he went around the end, I'd close my eyes so I wouldn't wish any bad luck on him. So I went in and went to school. I had a statistics exam that day. Okay. And I remember coming out of that statistics exam. It was dark in the building at Mercer, and I opened the doors and stepped out, and I thought, oh, thank you, God. It's so beautiful. It's so pretty and sunny and bright out here. I didn't know at that moment Keith was getting murdered. At that moment. And I started walking across campus, and I realized I was late for my job in the library, at the university library. So I stopped at a payphone, no cell phones, and called them from the student union. And they told me to call Keith's sister, Judy, who I'm still close with today. And I knew. And I called Judy.
How did you know?
I don't know, but I knew. And I was in this dark phone booth. And I remember, have you ever seen a moth go up to a light like that? I remember my hand wouldn't work, and I couldn't make it do the numbers. And she said, Nancy, I'm like, is Keith gone? Because I couldn't say dead. And she said, yes. And that's what I remember. I dropped the phone. I dropped my books. I got some of them. I got in the car. I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't know that I'd not hear her right. And then everything was a horrible blur. I lost a huge chunk of memory before, during, and after that, which I've never regained. In months before and months after, I can't remember a lot. But I lost down to 89 pounds. I couldn't eat. I dropped out of school. I couldn't stand to hear a TV, a radio, anything. My mother actually stopped the clocks in her house because the ticking was just too much.
How close were you? Now, obviously, you were engaged, I assume, secretly. You didn't tell Mom.
His sister knew.
I find it very romantic, except for my daughter. I'll say that again. But, so you two were madly in love.
Yes.
So, how soon were you planning on this going out and eloping?
At the end of the semester.
How far away was that?
Now I can't remember. Let's see. Keith had about 3 months left, something like that, and I was taking a final exam.
So you were really close.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a ring?
No.
Couldn't wear it anyway?
No.
Okay, and so you...
Even when I married my now husband, I didn't have an engagement ring. David and I, who it took me decades to consider ever remarrying, because I really thought that I would jinx.
You thought you were?
Yeah. I thought I would jinx David. So I didn't want to get married.
How long did you date before you did?
Oh, gosh. Keith was killed in 1979, and we got married in 2007.
I want to go back to that, but let me follow through on this. He was killed by a disgruntled former worker at a place they worked.
Right. This is what happened. There's been all sorts of contortions about it online, but Keith was working a summer job on a construction crew, and I've never gone to the scene. I don't want to go to the scene. I've never read the trial transcript. And it's such a disparity because when I try a case or when I cover a case, I have notes and notes and notes, and I go to the scene and go to the scene and go. I don't want to leave any stone unturned. But I don't want to do that. It throws me into such a depression. And I don't want my children to be around a sad mother, because I can't get out of it if I'm in it. The shooter had worked on the construction crew. He got fired before Keith came there. So they knew of each other. I don't even know that. But that day, Keith offered to drive however many miles to go bring everyone soft drinks back. So they were in a rural area. He left. When he was coming back in, he had on the owner's jacket and was in the company truck. And the guy came up and just opened fire.
Do you think
shot Keith 5 times in the face, the neck, the head, and the back, and killed him.
It's a lot to absorb.
Why? I don't know why. I've never known why. They did not have an argument.
You think
they
the
didn't
jacket,
know each other.
You think
I think
the
it may have
jacket,
been the
maybe
company
he thought he was
truck.
killing the owner?
Well, he got close enough to know it wasn't the owner. I don't really
He
analyze
just wanted
it.
vengeance, was lashing out.
Anger, getting fired, furious. I don't know, and I don't care. And I also, Sean, don't think about it a lot because it is painful. So I haven't analyzed those facts, which is very uncharacteristic for me. But he killed Keith.
I guess.
And Keith was still alive when he got to the hospital. He was an athlete. He was heart still pumping. But they couldn't save him. Some small hospital,
They tried. So now, you just said something. You went down to 89 pounds?
Yes.
You're on the verge of being hospitalized yourself at that weight.
I don't.
You didn't.
No.
So from that moment forward, what happened? Because now you have to face a funeral. Now you have to.
Oh.
Now you. Did you?
I hate
When did you tell your
funerals.
mother?
To this day, I say funeral for wedding and wedding for funeral.
Do you really?
To this day, yes. I was late to my own wedding. Isn't that right, David? I was late to my own wedding because I just could not bring myself to go down there and just try again. I was over an hour late.
For your own wedding.
For my own wedding.
Wow.
2 hours. He said 2 hours late. He just said 2 hours late.
Okay. I remember reading that you kept saying.
And we couldn't plan a wedding because I couldn't. I'm like, no. We're happy just like it is. Just leave it. Please, let's be happy. Don't jinx it. I couldn't plan it. So we got, on Tuesday, we said, okay, we're going to get married on Saturday. And that's how quickly we got married, finally.
Okay, so you start out here. It's funeral time. You're 89 pounds. You would eventually get down to 89 pounds. You're asking your mother, I read regularly, did he really get killed? You would ask your mom that often? Like you didn't remember?
No,
You wanted,
I don't think I could take it in. I would
in other
say,
words,
is
that you
Keith
were compartmentalizing it away.
I couldn't accept that Keith was dead. I usually don't even say dead as it relates to him or my father.
How long did it take? Because at some point you obviously started to heal, but
I don't know
But
about
I don't.
that.
But I don't get. Well, I was just going to say I don't get from you that you healed to the point that you waited 19 years to get married. Did you date in between that period of time?
Oh, I met David.
How long after?
Well, let's see. I dropped out of school. my sister was a professor at the Wharton School at that time. I flew up there. I stayed with her a while. I came back. I decided to go back to school. And I met David. And
how long after Keith's death?
It was in the year. By the time I went back, I was out for a while. I went back.
You're like 2021.
Yeah. And I remember we would try to go out, and we'd pull up somewhere, and I'd see people like laughing and having a good time. And I'm like, how can they do that? And I'd start crying. He'd just take me home. I don't know how he put up with me, really. But
I can tell you how. He loves you.
Yes.
David, you love her? There you go.
And if it weren't for him, I mean, I know what I'm doing here. I'm avoiding every time he asks me to go back to talk about when Keith was killed, I go somewhere else. I've had witnesses like that on the stand. If I hadn't finally brought myself to remarry, that's the only time I found Joyce, when I had the twins.
This is an amazing part of the story. So how many years later was it when you and David got married?
Oh, gosh, 2007. And Keith was murdered in 1979.
So now...
so much happened in between then. I mean, I went back to school. I was studying to be a Shakespearean literature professor. And I knew I could just never be happy in a classroom. And that had always been my dream. I decided to go back to law school to help other crime victims. And I did. And a lot of what happened in law school I also don't remember. It's just a blur. People go, hey, do you remember? And I'm like, no, I don't remember. I studied so hard. I didn't know what anybody was talking about. Plaintiff, defendant. I had to look it up in Black's Law Dictionary and write down the definition, what's plaintiff and defendant.
Wow.
That's how little I knew. And if you look at my books, which I kept, there's watermarks on them where I would even study in the bathtub.
Oh, really?
And when I would be tired or weary, just as when I was prosecuting, I would think about Keith just looking at me with those big blue eyes. And I would know it was my duty. This was my duty now.
That's your calling.
And graduated. I was a federal law clerk. And then I was with the feds and the Antitrust and Consumer Protection Division. And finally, after much effort, I got on in inner city Atlanta as a felony prosecutor. And then after a few years, became one of, not the first, but one of the first female special prosecutors of violent felonies in inner city Atlanta, where there was certainly no lack of business.
You see the connection, obviously, that this changed the entire trajectory of your life. And out of this horrible tragedy, how many people have you been able to help? How many criminals, A, have you been able to put away? How many victims of crime have you probably spent hours and hours and hours counseling, talking to, praying with, and using this horrible tragedy in your own life to help others? I mean, do you not see a kind of almost like a destiny, a divine destiny, blessing out of something
frankly,
horrible?
I really don't think about how it affected me, because to me that is irrelevant. What is relevant is...
You don't see a connection?
Keith was murdered. What can I do about it? And how long can I do it? And how hard can I do it? And how well can I do it? That's just really all I see. I really don't like talking about how it affected me. He's dead. And his family, his mother, on her dying bed. Judy, his sister, said, Mom, what are you thinking about? She says, I'm just having memories of Keith. To her dying day. That's what crime did to her. So I'm just a little bitty piece of this big picture.
All right. This now brings up a broader discussion, because I am apoplectic over the fact that we even have a debate in this country. And this is not, I said this on the air when you were a guest, and then all the incoming starts towards me. How dare I connect this? I even said when I said it to you, what I'm about to say is not political. And it had to do with Nancy Guthrie. And also it has to do with people like you. You are describing perfectly the pain, the misery, the consequences of crime. And when it happens to an individual, it's a headline. Everybody else moves on except the people that were impacted by it. And then you're waiting 19 years to get married, having children later in life.
Oh, Lucy and myself almost died in childbirth. My daughter weighed 2 pounds.
Your destiny changed dramatically.
Everything changed.
Everything changed. And it's kind of a blessing that, you know, David, you're a great guy. I mean, I'm sure this has been painful for you too. But here's what got me in, quote, hot water, as if I give a shit. I don't.
When have you ever been out of hot water?
That's a good point. My whole life. I don't really give a shit. Except when my daughter yells at me. Then I'm really in hot water. That matters. It matters because she goes there. And
the worst thing is when one of the twins is upset.
She's the quietest person until she wants to come at Dad, and then it's like all over me. And she has no problem.
I have to say, I wonder why.
I have no idea.
Why is she coming at me?
You're saying you take her side. Is that what you're saying? Probably. But here's the problem. We're debating in this country stupid things. We have people, put aside Republican and Democrat. I don't care about that. People that think we should defund the police, dismantle the police, reimagine the police.
Will you please not ever say reimagine police
That's
again?
what they say. They want
that doesn't fit together.
Well, can I tell you what the reimagine means?
I think you're going to.
Okay, I think I'm going to. In New York City, for example, you have Marxist Kami Mamdani, where he wants to reimagine. Send in the social workers. So let me see how this works. You're going to have a guy on a subway that's threatening to kill everybody on that train, and we're going to send in the social worker. Sir, did you wake up on the wrong? Is there anything that might have triggered you? Maybe something happened earlier in your life to trigger you to want to slaughter everybody on this train today?
You know, it's easy to poke fun at that idea.
I'm not poking fun at it.
Like,
I'm angry at it.
Did you hate your mother? Something like that on a train with the guy with the gun. But think about the reality of that. Sending in a social worker. Like, how are they going to get there fast enough to stop a bullet? Are they going to bring the guy down? Are they going to jump on the guy? Are they going to risk their life to save other lives, like police? No, they're not. I don't know what he's talking about. You know, he doesn't understand. Let's just give him a little pass. He can't possibly understand.
Nancy, you're giving a guy a pass that is taking away law and order and safety and security. Now I can go hard at you because you always go hard at me.
No, I don't mean give him a pass, let it go.
No.
I mean, maybe he's speaking from ignorance. Because how could a social worker or a psychologist, A, deploy in time to make a difference, B, I'm practically speaking right now, the practicalities of that ridiculous idea, deploy fast enough to make a difference, apprehend the person? You think a shrink is going to chase an armed perp down a subway to jump on them?
No.
Or shoot them to stop them from shooting anybody else? That will never happen. And he is playing with innocent lives like all the people I represented in court. But they were dead. I was the only voice left for them. That's what he's doing. It's crazy talk. I can't believe people are falling for it.
But here's the problem. It's not just him. This is now a mindset. How many blue cities and states, that part is political, are sanctuary cities, sanctuary states? They buy into defund and dismantle. How could you have no bail laws? There was a recent case, for example, this Loyola girl, 18 years old, murdered by a Biden-Harris, Mayorkas, unvetted, illegal. They let this guy in the country.
Venezuelan.
Venezuelan, he's from Venezuela, correct. They let him in. A month after being here, they catch him shoplifting. Mm-hmm. You would think, oh, maybe he's not a good candidate to be in our country.
And do nothing.
They did nothing. Now, when I say I think they all have blood on their hands, people get worked up. People think that's really unfair. But I'm sorry, you're creating the conditions under which this can happen. And here's the problem. When you go down to the bare, basic result of this, the trauma of this, now we're dealing with another Nancy Grace and another Savannah Guthrie, because those are the people that will suffer for the rest of their lives, will be impacted by the rest of their lives. That's why when we see a case like you, or I hear you, or we follow Nancy Guthrie, and you see Savannah on TV being interviewed, crying her eyes out, questioning whether or not she's partly responsible, she's a public figure. This is every crime victim in the country. And they don't seem to care. And I can't wrap my mind around it.
I feel very strongly about it, not just about illegal immigrants that commit crimes, but about all violent crime, even if it's homegrown crime. I feel the same way. But there's a caveat with illegal immigrants that commit crime, because we're allowing that to happen. We're allowing them into our country to wreak havoc. With homegrown, we didn't let them in. They're here, and they need to go to jail or the death penalty. But we're opening the door and letting criminals in. Look, I'm a mutt. I'm a mix of Irish, and I don't even know what all. My daughter made me do a 23andMe.
Did you do Ancestry?
Didn't we do 23andMe? It was my daughter's idea.
Anyway.
I am, let's see, Ashkenazi. I'm Irish, I'm Congolese, I'm every mixture you can, Portuguese. I don't know what I am. But
the tough part's the Irish part.
Yes, that's the tough part. The point is, immigrant, okay. Illegal immigrant, not okay.
Okay.
Not okay. Criminals coming in our country, not okay. Jocelyn Nungery. She's a 13-year-old little girl.
I think she was 12.
She was found, she had been raped, assaulted under a bridge, and then thrown into a bayou. Rachel Morin, mom of 5, hiking, gorgeous, and not that I care if she's gorgeous, but he disfigured her face. He couldn't stand her beauty, raped her, sodomized her, and beat her face and killed her. Why was he here? First, he raped a little girl in her own home out in L.A., then got Rachel Morin. What else did he do? Oh, he was running from a murder in El Salvador, and we let him in. Snellings, Lakin Snellings, UGA. What? Mm-hmm. And what killed me, the nursing student, what killed me is there she is, jogging, and you can see him watching her like a jackal as she goes by and then following her. Why was he here?
Okay, you're raising a good question.
I saw her mother in court crunched over like this, just sobbing. I wanted to go help her straighten up. She just couldn't even sit up. The pain.
Well, they may be 89 pounds soon too, and can you blame them because you lived it? And this is the broader point here. They let in. Well, first of all, I talked to all 3 of those families, and I know Laken Riley's family.
Laken Riley, thank you.
She never came on my show, their family, but I. It's funny.
They were probably too upset to even talk.
You want to know what I've learned is if you're a public figure, sometimes if you just reach out and say, we're thinking of you, praying for you, if there's anything we could ever do, please let us know. It actually means something. People like to know that other people care. I picked that up early in life, and it served me well because I realized I could help people that way. Here's the problem. 12 million unvetted Biden-Harris Mayorkas illegals. One of the big 2 lies. The big one is Joe's not a cognitive mess. Yes, he was. Number 2 is they let these people in, but they told us over and over, the border's closed, the border's secure. They were full of shit. They were lying to the American people. And I'm not even talking about Democrat, Republican. And every complicit Democrat, they sat either silently by, I think they are complicit, or they take it to another level. They aid and abet in the law-breaking sanctuary cities, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, sanctuary states, California, New York, Chicago, Illinois. Go through the list. At some point, when do they get held accountable? Because they are aiding and abetting in the law breaking, and they're taking taxpayer dollars on top of it, and they're offering services to people that did not respect our laws, our borders, and sovereignty. Those 12 million came from over 200 countries, many with terror ties, Iran, Egypt. Run through the list of countries that have terrorists, unvetted, known murderers, rapists, child molesters, gang members, cartel members, drug dealers. When are these politicians held accountable?
Well, the answer to that is never. They're never going to be held accountable.
Why? Why don't we hold them accountable?
Because our system will not prosecute them. The only way they're held accountable is if they are voted out, and that will be on their constituents. At some point, those sanctuary cities will revolt. That's the only way. There is no law on the book that is going to hold politicians responsible for what they do. Unless it's a violent crime like rape or murder.
Okay.
That's not happening. I know you don't like that answer, but they're not going to be held accountable.
If I go to the border, and I've been down there 15 times, all the way from the Rio Grande, all the way through San Diego. I've been on horseback, all-terrain vehicles, helicopters, all traveling with Border Patrol people. If I go down to the border and I see an illegal and I say, you need a lift? What's that called? Isn't that a crime? Am I not aiding and abetting in law breaking? Isn't it likely I could be charged with human trafficking? If I gave them money, am I not offering aid and comfort? So now we institutionalize it with city and state policies, and we're okay with that? That's not a big deal? And then people, get upset that I say that politicians that allow that have blood on their hands? I'll say that all day long until the cows come home, until the policy stops.
One of the reasons that so many people have a knee-jerk reaction when we talk about illegal immigrants, there's all sorts of phrases to refer to them, is because it goes against charity and Christian love when a decent person, a good person, may be bringing their child here, maybe hoping for something better for their child, sneaks across the border. Mm-hmm. People are afraid that those mothers and children are going to get lumped in with the criminals that are getting in. And so they're torn. Do I support illegals coming in? What about the mother and the baby? But then it's a dichotomy for a lot of people that don't want to hurt the decent and the innocent that are trying to come here. See what I mean?
All right, but I have a solution. Because
that bothers me. I don't want to see a mother and a child.
I don't want to see them.
I don't want that. But yeah. I also don't want illegal immigrant criminals preying on our citizens.
All right, I tried Riverbend Ranch beef at Christmas. Their Angus steaks, they are incredible, delicious, juicy, and they're marbling of these steaks. For example, I got a new box right here. I'm so grateful. I will be grilling this tonight. This is their ribeye. Now, there is a reason their steaks are so superior to other beef in the marketplace. For the past 35 years, Riverbend Ranch, they have been scouring the country. They use ultrasound technology, imagine this, to identify genetically superior Angus cattle with a focus on flavor and tenderness, and they use only the top 1 or 2% of the entire Angus population as their breeding stock, producing beef that has much more flavor, much more tender than your average Angus beef. For example, the New York strip. I love New York strip. You have it right there. They have this Denver steak. You know what? I just tried it. I'm like, I love it. It's amazing. Now, that is saying a lot because Angus beef, famous for its flavor, its tenderness. This is the best. Riverbend Ranch has taken Angus beef to an entirely new level. These are the best steaks you are ever going to eat. And each steak aged to perfection, 21 days. And by the way, I love supporting American ranchers. All Riverbend Ranch cattle, born and raised right here in the USA, never use growth hormones, no antibiotics, and the beef is processed right at the ranch in their award-winning USDA-inspected processing facility, so you avoid all the costly middlemen because the beef is sent directly from Riverbend Ranch right to your home. You can order their beef. Go to riverbendranch.com, riverbendranch.com, and I'm telling you, they have the most spectacular steak bundles. Makes great gifts for friends, family, people in your business that you work with. Order today, riverbendranch.com. Now, if you use the promo code Hannity, here's my ribeye. I'm going to try the ribeye tonight. Okay, here's the ribeye. If you use the promo code Hannity, you get $15 off your first order. And you're going to love the taste. You're going to love their beef. And you, like me, will be a customer for life. Nancy, I did my ancestry test.
Oh, dear.
Is that
Who are we going to blame?
No, not blaming. Believe it or not, apparently it's rare that somebody's 100%.
You're kidding.
100% British Irish. All 4 of my grandparents came from Ireland.
I don't think that the Irish would appreciate you saying 100% British Irish.
That's the term they used on Ancestry. But
yeah.
100% Irish. Let's put it that way. And I am the product of immigration. My grandparents came through Ellis Island. I have the documents framed.
Same.
Pretty cool, right? Here's all I'm asking. I don't care where you come from. I don't care who you are. However, so we don't have to put Nancy Grace or Savannah Guthrie or Rachel Morin or Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungary or this 18-year-old Loyola student through hell for the rest of their lives. Don't we owe it to every American to vet every person coming into this country?
Yes.
No radical associations, right? Health check after COVID. Make sure you're not bringing in some crazy disease with you. And one other thing. Don't be a financial burden on the American people. Got to take care of yourself. I think that's fair. Is that not fair?
I agreed with the whole thing until you got to the financial burden part. Because if you're picking up your baby and you're crossing over a river and a desert, you don't have any money. I mean, you can work. If you can work, sure. I mean, look, I got through school on loans that I paid back every penny.
Me too.
10 years.
I never finished, though.
In fact, I didn't know I was through paying. And I wrote a check, $177.11. I still remember I wrote it so many times. And they sent it back to me. I'm like, what? I had paid it off. I didn't even know it. Yes.
Mine was $58.05 a month. Oh.
So what I'm saying is I didn't have any money, nothing.
Me either.
But I could work. So I don't know that I would require somebody to come in with money because they don't have any money. That's not happening.
We have $39 trillion in debt. We can't afford it. Now,
I agree with that. I agree we can't afford them. We can't afford to pay all the people we're paying right now for.
You see, what I'm trying to get to...
You're trying to get me to say something, but I don't feel that way.
No,
I hate
not,
crime. I hate illegal immigrants waltzing into our country like we don't have enough felons as it is and attacking innocent people.
You see, but when Donald Trump says at times we can be a stupid country, this is stupid. I would argue that Biden, Harris, Mayorkas open borders, the single most preventable national security disaster in the history of the country. And again, terrorists, murderers, rapists, child molesters, cartel members, that all happened. And guess what? That means on the other end of it is another Nancy Grace, we go through the list.
I agree.
Okay. You know how bad things have gotten in this country? We talked about this Loyola, this 18-year-old Loyola student, a freshman, who was killed by this illegal.
Cute.
Biden let him in.
What they were doing that night? She and her friends were walking along the lake, less than a mile from campus, less than half a mile, to see if they could spot the northern lights. That's why they went out at night.
Yeah. Well, you look at that particular case. Do you know that Loyola has a student newspaper? Do you know the student newspaper apologized for calling the illegal immigrant an illegal immigrant?
I saw that.
Can you help me? Okay. What do you want me to call them? Darling? Sweetheart? Mr. and Mrs. Smith? The murderer? I mean, why can't we?
I thought it was just so misplaced and so heartless to the family of the victim that their concern is about the killer, who I might add was dressed all in black with a ski mask covering his face, wielding a weapon, jumped out of bushes. Another older woman stated that the victim was in the wrong place at the wrong time and startled the perp. I nearly fell over when I saw that. And the girls, the group, took off running. They were afraid, and he opened fire as they turned and shot her in the head and killed her.
It was like there was an assassination.
Just like that.
Okay, now you know what it's like to be a victim and to lose a loved one. Tell me what their family's going to be like. What is the rest of their life like?
I can tell you this. I thought I knew everything about grief and mourning when Keith was murdered until I had the children. And I don't think I could live. I know I wouldn't want to live, but I don't think I could physically live if anything happened to either one of the twins. So I can't even begin to imagine what that family is going through.
Oh.
Just the devastation. I remember asking Mrs. Gonsalves, Kelly Gonsalves' mother, how she could even get up in the morning. It took her a long time to come up with an answer. She still is just... That was Brian Koberger's, one of the victims' moms.
By the
Christy.
way, that case drove me crazy.
And I don't know
that was
how...
horrible.
I don't know how the family is to lose your child that way. I don't know how they can even get out of bed in the morning.
Here's the truth. You're never the same.
No, you're never the
You
same.
were never the same from that day.
Oh, gosh.
Ever.
I had night terrors where I would get up screaming and running at night. And I would have already run the length of the house before I could wake up. And still to this day, wake up screaming. To this day. And I don't know why.
I do.
But you never, ever, you're never the same.
Took you 19 years before you would even consider getting married again. That I guess when
I don't know why David even puts up with me, frankly.
I don't know why either. Honestly, David, no. You know, because I'm going to tell you, because on the other side of all that pain that you had to go through, that's turned you into the great advocate you are, the great prosecutor you've been, that has put you in a position to talk to people that are living through what you went through and offer them hope and let them know that no, life won't be the same, but you will continue on.
But there's another
Because there are a lot of people that don't want to continue
what it
on.
Also did, I mean, I made a lot of enemies.
Who cares?
Not me, as a prosecutor, because nothing mattered. I didn't care if I lived or died. I would walk through a housing project at 1 a.m. looking for witnesses unarmed. Didn't care. In fact, there were times I thought it would be a relief if I could go be with Keith.
Do you protect yourself?
Nothing mattered. I didn't care if I lived or died.
What about now?
Complete opposite. I would do anything to stay alive, to be with the twins and protect them.
I've had a pistol carry permit my whole life, my whole adult life, licensed. I've been licensed in New York City, which is hard to get. I was licensed in California when I lived there in the 80s, Rhode Island. I was licensed in Alabama, Georgia, and in now the free state of Florida.
It also gave me, it took a long time, but that feeling that nothing matters also can free you to be hateful, strong, powerful, angry, vengeful, and you don't care what anybody says or thinks. Nobody. Nothing matters except getting justice.
People do, at times I've read comments, people do criticize you for being as passionate as you are. That's why I don't believe...
Don't care.
I know you don't care. And by the way, if you did, you wouldn't be able to do what you do. And now maybe that people know, as Paul Harvey would famously say, the rest of the story, right? Maybe they understand where the passion's coming from. You know, in that chair you're sitting in, I had Steve Wynn. Mm-hmm. He told me after the interview, I was the first person to ever ask him in an interview about the issue. He had a daughter that was kidnapped for ransom. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He did not call the cops. He got a phone call. Mr. Wynn, we have your daughter. She is fine. If you want to see your daughter again, you're going to follow everything I tell you to do to the letter, or you will never see her alive again. Now, some people, I guess for some people this is a dilemma. I don't know. I mean, but Steve Wynn followed the instructions to the letter, ended up paying them $1.45 million in cash that he dropped off in a car at a local 7-Eleven, not far from the Mirage, which is the hotel that he'd built at the time. And then he built the Bellagio and Treasure Island. Then he built the Wynn and the Encore. And he paid the money. Then he brought the FBI in. They got all the people involved. There are people that might be critical of what he did. I'm not. I think whatever decision people make in that moment, they've got to do what their conscience and heart can guide them to do.
I've noticed a lot of people attacking Savannah.
Oh, that's
Why
disgusting.
didn't you pay the ransom? Why didn't you beg sooner? Why didn't you this, that? There's no script for what you're supposed to do. I think Savannah and her brother and sister Annie and Cameron did everything they were physically able to do at that moment. Savannah, in her interview, stated that they've got many, many quack, fake ransoms, but that she believes those two to which she responded, she believes they were real. And I knew at the time...
Are they the ones that went through Harvey Levin at TMZ?
I think those are the ones.
Those are the ones.
There may be others I don't know about, but I believe those are the ones. And I know Savannah well enough that when she gave a response twice, she responded, she would not have done that if she did not believe the ransom notes were real.
And she said, I remember distinctly the words, "We will pay."
We will pay. I think the reason they didn't pay, if in fact they didn't, and I don't believe they did, is because they never got proof of life. I mean, you and I knew at the beginning something was off in that the ransom was not requested immediately. You take somebody, what do you want to feed them for a week and then ask for the money? No.
Yeah.
You want the money then, you want it to be over with, you want to get the hell out of town.
Steve Wynn did get proof of life. They put the phone up to the daughter, and she said, "Hey, Daddy."
See,
And he did
Savannah, I don't believe, got any proof.
All right. Now, explain this to me. I'm going to drag you into politics.
Oh, dear Lord.
I don't even know if you're a Republican or Democrat. I don't know. I don't really care.
Only I know that.
I don't want to know. But there's something wrong. Do you remember when Donald Trump got back into office, he gave a speech before a joint session of Congress. And in that speech, he honored and recognized the family of Laken Riley and the family of Jocelyn Nungaray. And then he also recognized that the 12-year-old young man who had beat cancer, Daniel, I met him. I met him and his dad. They're great people. And he became a Secret Service agent that night. Do you realize only one Democrat stood? John Fetterman? And then this past State of the Union, Donald Trump said, if you agree with this statement, stand with us. That the first role of government in this country is to protect the American people, not illegal immigrants. What I concluded is this party that didn't stand had lost their heart, their conscience, and their soul. Because they're not thinking of people like you. They don't. Do they not know the consequences? Have they not talked to people, that families that are victims of crime, the pain that they go through, the trauma they live through?
It was very hurtful to me as a crime victim that politics were more important to those people that did not stand. That was hurtful, and it angered me. And I didn't really lump them in as a party, but just, how could you not care? How could you not stand and show your support, your heart to people that have suffered so much? Politics aside, I was stunned. I was stunned that they couldn't stand for that.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. So let me ask you, I know your heart, I know your background. I see your passion is so infectious on the air. Like that one night that you kind of chastised me was great for me because I needed that kick in the ass. I thought it was perfect. And you're like, Sean, did you think this was going to be easy? I'm like, sorry, I messed up. But tell people what you do behind the scenes. When you get involved in the case, you go all in. You give everything you've got. But you also talk to families. What do you tell them?
I don't really tell them that much. I listen to them, what they have to say, and I follow. If they want to talk about it, I listen. If they ask me questions, I answer. And I tell them that I will never, ever forget the one that they love, and that I will do anything and everything I can to help them, and for them to call on me. And they have my number. They can reach me anytime. But it's not just for that moment. It's from then on. I consider them part of my world, a friend. And when they have endeavors like Phil Vitrano is a friend. His daughter, Karina Vitrano, was murdered in Long Island. And he and I pushed for familial DNA to be allowed in New York courts. Mark Klass is a friend.
Nice guy, I know him.
The Gonsalves family, their daughter was murdered by Brian Kohberger, along with 3 other beautiful Idaho University students. They're friends. They're not just a guest on a show. It's not just a show. These are real people that are suffering, that need answers, and someone to help them. I don't consider it a show, like a circus or entertainment, because these stories are real and these people are real and their suffering is real. And I don't forget about them when the story is over.
I don't either.
Mm-mm.
You know,
oh, my stars, the other night in a dream, I was looking for Nancy Guthrie, and I had been upset because I'd been watching and writing everything Savannah was saying. And when I first met her, she was a fresh-faced girl that came and joined Court TV, and she was very sweet. Okay, here's a story. So I forgot, it was Vanity Fair. I can't remember. Somebody wanted to do a photo shoot of the ladies of Court TV, and of course I always wear dark black colors. That's left over. Black or dark colors.
We have something in common. I'm not exactly a fashion expert.
Because I didn't think it was right to be in front of juries wearing red and yellow and orange when I'm talking about a murder victim.
Yeah.
And that carried over. And I don't have anything pastel. Are you kidding me? And, of course, I hate photo shoots of any sort. So I waited till the last minute, and they went through and found something. But I think it was Kimberly Guilfoyle Newsom. I think it was Kimberly, did not have anything. Savannah goes in her office and gets her best, fanciest outfit. I think it was some designer, maybe Chanel, something really nice, that nobody could afford. She gave that to Kimberly to wear. And then Savannah wore her second best. It was just, and for a big photo shoot, some important magazine. She just that's her. Anyway, the dream. So I had been watching her, and I was upset when I went to bed. And the twins are across the hall. And in the dream, I was looking for Mrs. Guthrie, and I was arguing about, well, what about this, and what about this, and da da da. And all of a sudden, I was looking for my daughter. It was Lucy.
Oof.
And I woke up screaming. And David was like, what is it? What's that? I'm like, it's Lucy, it's Lucy, it's Lucy. I mean, yes, it sticks with you. It doesn't go away.
So we talked earlier about how hard it was to watch Savannah on the Today Show today, her first interview. You talked early on. You were one of the earliest defenders. I had everybody sending me the picture of the brother-in-law, everybody speculating. I learned during Richard Jewell, don't rush to judgment, and it served me very well in my life and career when I'm on the air. I ended up being right about Duke Lacrosse, Ferguson, Missouri, UVA, all these cases, Russia collusion. It would become on the political side of it. And so I watch, I wait, I look for more evidence. I want to get it right for the audience. And I watched her, and that it kind of tore me up to see somebody in that much pain and kind of blaming herself because of it. She believes it's her profession that might have contributed to this. And then she's just broken, like you were describing your life. You talked about, and you defended that family, and you said, no way, I don't believe it, when others were speculating. You said you knew Savannah, and she would not embrace her family if, in fact, she believed in any way they could be involved in this. And you were the strongest voice on that point. But you knew her back in the day, and I think you obviously had a good relationship with her. Have you spoken to her? And if you haven't, and you had a chance, what would you tell her?
Do you think I won all those cases by blabbing? By spilling who I talked to, who I didn't talk to, what did they say?
This is an interview, I'm supposed to ask questions.
I'll keep my private communications private, but I will tell you.
You spoke to her.
That I think a lot of Savannah. And we have been separated by miles and years and babies and marriages and career turns and ups and downs. I still care a great deal about her. And I could only imagine when you're at the worst point in your life, having your sister, your blood sister, attacked. Now, she pointed out something very interesting to Hoda. She said, and this is a position I'm in, I take care of my mother alone.
He's 94.
With my husband, my children, and as I call them, the granny nannies that I have known for years. And when I go to work, they take care of her. I make her breakfast, lunch, supper, give her pills.
You have any room for me?
The worst. So Annie is the one, because Savannah's in New York, Cameron is another state. Annie has been taking care of the mom, and it is not easy. Let me tell you that. And the husband has been right in there. So I just can't imagine in the midst of all this having to defend your blood sister and her husband, just to top it all off. But of course, Savannah's too classy to say anything. So
it'd be interesting to see how this comes out. I will say this: thank you for coming. It's an honor to have you. It's an honor to get to know you, and I hope people that maybe are dismissive and maybe not fully aware of what every single crime victim and their family goes through, I hope they learn something watching Savannah, hearing your story, hearing Lake and Riley's story, Jocelyn Nungary. I hope we wake up and that this is not politics for me. It's about law and order and safety and security. It's a prerequisite for happiness. Aren't we supposed to be given life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?
I don't think anybody ever promised happiness. I just still look for
Pursuit.
Pursuit. Yeah, you're right.
Life, liberty, pursuit.
But you know what? You remember these words? They are the most blind, those who will not see. They can hear it, but they don't want to understand. They can see the suffering, but they don't want to see it. Everybody that didn't stand up for those crime victims, they can see. They don't want to see.
I have a last question after you went into such detail about your life. And David's here, and David's been there since you lost Keith.
Yeah.
I mean, you were 19 years old. You were getting married. You were about to elope. What an incredible story, and this horrible thing happened. Have you been able to find happiness? Or is it with you all the time? Does it rob you of your happiness?
It's both. I don't think a day goes by that I don't think about Keith. Not one day. But the Lord blessed me in that I never thought I would marry. I never thought I could bring myself to try again. I thought whoever I would be with, I would jinx them, and that I couldn't do that. So I thought I would find happiness in my career. I thought I could be on a mission, and that way I would never have to try again. But many, many years later, the Lord blessed me, and I found the strength to try again. And even though I was 2 hours late, I got to the aisle, and I had my dad with me.
David, were you sweating that? A little bit.
And I looked up and I saw David, and I knew I did it.
Yeah.
If I hadn't done it, I would never have found happiness, because I wouldn't have the twins.
But it took you 19 years.
Yes, it did. And because of that, I almost died in childbirth. I was in ICU forever. My lungs were full of blood clots. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk. Lucy was 2 pounds. She almost died.
Wow.
Because of crime. But you asked, was I happy? Yes, I'm happy. The Lord gave me a new life. But I've never been able to step out of the old life. I have joy because the twins have given me joy.
You're also helping a lot of other people. Your passion is infectious. I love when you chastise me on my own show. I really appreciate that. And honestly, becoming friends with you and really knowing how real you are, it's inspiring. And you speak for a lot of people, and you're helping a lot of people. Glad you came to hang out with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. We love you. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode, hanging out with me, Sean Hannity. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel so you never, ever, ever, ever miss an episode. We've got a lot more great, I mean really great content coming your way. We hope you'll subscribe.